on average, 50% fewer trips to the site to apply salt. Hi, I'm Phill Sexton with WIT Advisers. How do we change the mindset to using liquids as a better alternative, and why would that be a no-brainer decision to do that? Let's talk about the economic side of this coin. Particularly on the private side, people want the same service for less money, less time, less effort, and there needs to be strategies incorporated to doing it a different way to address that. So this is where, again, liquids, we'll talk about later in this training, this is where liquids really becomes a fairly significant tool in the toolbox, if you will. So when you think about the economics, let's think about it beyond even salt use. There's the economics of time and production, there's the economics of travel, there's the economics of equipment, there's the economics of fuel and fuel usage and travel time, and there's really the economics of redo work or doing things, you know, haphazardly so that it's causing us to apply more or spend more time on it, rather than taking perhaps a more proactive approach to it. Why I get so confident about this now is when we think about it in terms of our Sustainable Winter Management Program, SWIM, there's been a third-party case study done that's looked at the benefits not just from salt outputs and not just from economics, but there's others. So let's think about it though. From the standpoint of salt output, we've been able to see in many cases, at least on average, a 50% reduction in salt. In some cases, we've seen 3 times reduction in salt use. What that means to you, depending on your contract model, and what that means to your client, if you decide to pass on some of the savings, is at least a 25% savings in the overall cost of managing a property in the wintertime. But then let's take it a step further. So when you think about in terms of a third-party case study that was done on these results by Rochester Institute of Technology out in Rochester, New York, here's what they found. Not only was there this savings in salt output, not only was there this obvious economic benefit, but then it provided other benefits, including, on average, 50% fewer trips to the site to apply salt. Now that may not make sense at first when you think about, right now, brine is sort of perceived as this other service or this thing that you do before the storm, but I'm gonna continue to do these other things that I've always done after the storm or during the storm. But that's not really what happens. What happens is once you take this more proactive approach, it actually allows you to be salting less during and post-storm treatment. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the methodologies and the techniques. The other thing that then inspires is when there's fewer trips, there's fewer amounts of fuel being used. There's fewer hours actually making those individual mobilizations. So we're saving time, we're saving fuel, we're saving equipment costs, we're saving materials. So really, it's sort of a four-sided coin, if you will, now of what the benefits are, rather than just sort of this economic, environmental proposition.